I've said it before and I'll say it again now. The Gunsmith in Modern Warfare might be the single best innovation that we've seen in recent years. You can have more attachments on your weapon while also having enough perks and equipment to make your setup feel complete than ever before, and the setups you can create and fine-tune with the Gunsmith are seemingly endless, with each gun having an average of 50 attachments and weapon perks to unlock. Safe to say, Infinity Ward brought their A game when it comes to class customization this year, and thanks to the Gunsmith, we can also gain access to even more weapons than just what we see listed in each base category. By combining certain attachments on certain guns, you can actually create secret weapon variants that transform a weapon into something else entirely. And today we're doing just that, as we create the highly requested RPK weapon variants. Before we jump into that though, if you are new here, each and every single day, we've got all the latest Call of Duty news and intel going up on the channel. So feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on if you want to stay up to date with all of that. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like rating on it, as it would be much appreciated. And now let's get into building the RPK here in COD MW. So here's what I think is absolutely awesome. The AK-47 is actually one of the most versatile weapons in this entire game, as not only is it just the AK-47 at its core, but you can also convert it into the AK-74U like we did in our last conversion kit video, and the AK-47 is also the base weapon when creating the RPK as well. So it is basically 3 guns in one at this point, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Anyways, for the RPK, obviously you are going to need to level up to at least rank 53 so that you can unlock the AK-47 in its base form. And from there you'll need to level the gun up itself a decent bit as well to actually gain access to all the attachments you'll need for the full conversion. Unfortunately, I can no longer see what level in specific you get each of the attachments today, since my AK is at max rank of weapon level 68. However, the placement of each attachment in its category should give you enough information to determine just how close you are to being able to use the RPK. Now, getting into it, as always, we are rocking 5 attachments on the AK-47 to turn it into the RPK. That way we can fully maximize the weapon's overall potential. The first attachment we're using is going to be under the barrel category, and it is the 23-inch RPK barrel. Now this one is a pretty obvious choice, as RPK is literally in the attachment's name, so it is essential in this conversion kit. The 23-inch RPK barrel is the second barrel attachment you end up unlocking, so you will end up unlocking it relatively quickly after you start leveling up your AK-47. And honestly, this is one of the better barrel attachments you can use on the AK in general, and not just specifically when building the RPK. This barrel does end up increasing the overall damage range, the bullet velocity, and also the recoil control, in exchange for a slight decrease in aim down sight speed and overall movement speed. Next up, we'll then need to throw on a stock to get this weapon closer to being a full-on RPK, and here we are using the Field LMG stock, which once again is a pretty obvious choice, as the RPK is a light machine gun, and none of the other stock options really fit the conversion as well as this one does. Now, the Field LMG stock is the very first stock attachment you end up unlocking, so here again you'll have this one unlocked pretty early on, and this ends up giving you an increased aiming stability in exchange for a slower aim-walking movement speed. So as you'll notice, the mobility of this setup in general begins to take a bit of a hit as we throw more attachments onto it, but when you are taking an assault rifle and converting it into a light machine gun, that is really to be expected. Anyways, following that up, attachment number 3 you'll be needing for this conversion kit comes in the form of an underbarrel, and that is going to be the bipod, which once again, and conveniently enough, is the very first underbarrel attachment that you end up unlocking for the AK-47, so this is yet another attachment that you'll end up gaining access to pretty early on. Now, the bipod is actually one of the very rare attachments in this game that comes with no cons whatsoever. So by using it, you literally do not hurt your weapon's performance at all. And instead, this attachment's main benefit is the increase it provides to your crouch and/or prone recoil control. Now, I'm just going to put this out there, the AK-47 in its base form has a pretty bad amount of recoil, especially when you are just holding down the trigger. Tap firing or just popping off a couple of shots at a time can be a decent alternative to that, but to really make the weapon more effective in general, you've got to find some way to contain that recoil. And with some of the other attachments that we already have on the weapon, coinciding with the bipod, when you focus on those crouch kills or those prone kills if you are in a solid spot to do so, you are going to notice a massive amount of recoil reduction when compared to the gun without any attachments on it. So the bipod is actually a really useful attachment in this case. Then after that, we've got an ammunition attachment, and that is going to be these 75 round drum mags, which unfortunately is the very last ammunition unlock you end up getting, so this one will take a decent amount of leveling to get up to, but once you get it, it is definitely fitting of the RPK, so we gotta throw it on there. Being an LMG, the RPK naturally has a larger magazine size, so the drum mag helps out there as it holds 75 rounds of the 7.62 x 39mm ammo that the AK-47 and the RPK both utilize. On the downside though, the 75 round drum mags attachment does come with a decrease to your aim down sight speed and a decrease to your overall movement speed as well, so just be conscious of those. Now, those 4 attachments that we've discussed so far are the quote-unquote mandatory attachments for the RPK conversion kit, as at this point, you've pretty much got the RPK in and of itself, and from here on out, anything else is just really down to preference. But like I said, I am using 5 attachments on my setup, and I'd recommend you do the same. That way you can get the most out of the weapon at the end of the day. That said, with the setup that we have now, the mobility definitely takes a pretty decent hit, as you guys can see from the stat sheet. So in all reality, I would love to put on the stipple grip tape to increase the aim down sight speed and the sprint to fire speed as well, but at the same time, this weapon is based around medium to long range fights, and the stock AK-47 iron sights are not doing you any favors in those engagements, and that is why I choose to run an optic attachment instead. Personally, I lean towards things like the GI Mini Reflex or the Viper Reflex, but once again, that all comes down to what you are the most comfortable using. Now, in typical conversion kit fashion, we've got to talk about more than just the actual transformation itself. Because while it is awesome that you're able to build these secret weapon variants in-game, when it comes down to it, if the weapon variant performs poorly in-game, it's really not that worth it to even create it in the first place. But honestly, here I am happy to say that the RPK might be the best weapon variant that we've made so far. The M16, let's face it, it was hot trash compared to the FAMAS and all the other full auto ARs, and while it was a nice throwback, it just couldn't hang. The AK-74U was a pretty solid weapon, I'll admit, but this game is just not incredibly kind to weapons that solely excel in close quarters combat. However, we then have the RPK, which is a weapon that fits this game's meta of playing a bit more relaxed and conservative, and because of that, I think it shines. The slow ADS times and the decreased movement speed definitely prove that the RPK is a light machine gun at its core, but the damage this gun deals and its ability to drop enemies in just a couple of shots at some pretty extreme distances makes this gun a force to be reckoned with in my own opinion. The recoil is still not perfect, it can be kinda tough to handle in some situations. However, by tap firing, your accuracy can increase quite a bit, and so can the weapon's overall efficiency. In comparison to the AK-47, I honestly think I would choose the RPK over it. I think the RPK is a better solution to long-range engagements, and frankly, the weapon itself looks really cool too, so that's just an added bonus. However, in comparison to the other light machine guns in the game, which is what the RPK resembles the most, I think the PKM is still the superior choice. I feel like as far as the LMGs go at least, the PKM is definitely the top tier weapon in that category. It kind of resembles the Titan from Black Ops 4, as it just feels more like an AR LMG hybrid in its current state. So the RPK I think is still outmatched by that, but as far as creating effective weapon variants go, the RPK is a solid choice to try out nonetheless. Keep in mind, this setup is not the most rush-friendly in the whole world. Trying to treat this gun like you would the AK-74U or even the M4 or the Kilo might result in a few extra deaths. Trust me, I learned that from experience. But if you are using this weapon as you would any other medium to long range based gun, by ADSing choke points when peeking and not blindly rushing into CQC areas, you should find plenty of success while using it. But with all of that being said, that is how you can make the RPK weapon variant here in Modern Warfare. If you guys have any other weapon variants or conversion kits that you would like to see a tutorial for, drop me a comment down below. If you found the video helpful or if you just simply enjoyed it, let me know by dropping a like rating on it, as it would be much appreciated. And of course, if you are new here and you want to stay on top of everything going on in the world of Call of Duty, including all the latest news and intel, updates and leaks, and everything else in between, feel free to subscribe with your post notifications turned on. That way you'll always know when I post a new video. As always, be sure to use code IMMORTAL on all G Fuel, Control Freak, and Respawn products. All of those links can be found down in the description below. And once again, thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.